Good evening. My name is Rashard Snellings, and I am with the South Fulton Coalition. Tonight, we will be hosting Jewel Johnson, candidate for mayor of the city of South Fulton. Now, the mission of the South Fulton Coalition is to implement action programs for the continued improvement, accountability, and integrity of the city of South Fulton government and its elected officials. This meeting is being recorded as well as this meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube. I would like to turn it over to Ron Booth for our opening prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashard. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another wonderful opportunity to come before your presence. Lord, we pray for a positive discussion and good dialogue for this meeting. Lord, we pray for the candidate for mayor, Ms. Jewel Johnson. We pray that you'll bless her and bless everyone on this call. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. All right, tonight we have this meeting scheduled from 7 to 8 p.m. If time requires it, we will ask permission of the candidate to extend the time if necessary. We will begin with a 10-minute time for opening remarks. Ms. Johnson, you may begin your opening remarks at this time. You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is very good. I think it was an excellent idea, and I'm happy to be with you all this evening. I'm Jewel Johnson. I'm running for mayor because the current mayor has sold us out to developers in his own interest. In my opinion, I feel like the city is broken. The mayor and council has actually failed us. In our first 4 years of existence, our city has gone through 3 city clerks, 2 city managers, 2 fire chiefs, 2 city attorneys, and we're now on the 2nd fire chief. Because you all know the first fire chief we had was the interim fire chief, who was Major Rogers. She's no longer with us now, as so many has left us. Bill Edwards has gotten us into a shameful mess. We have warehouses that are overrunning us. We have no fine dining restaurants, no grocery stores, no medical facilities. And we have to drive to Douglas County to shop, Fayetteville County for office supplies. And then on top of all of that, ladies and gentlemen, they want us to go to a one carrier for our garbage and expect us to allow the payment to be going to the city. And when we do that, as you all know, there is no competition and the price is definitely going to go up. We are running a city of no budget control. How is your money being spent? We don't know. And that's a bad situation because we really don't know. And on top of all of that, our mayor has created the perfect opportunity for him to spend our money like it's his checkbook. We have no finance director. And where is the transparency? There is no transparency in the city. I'm running for mayor because Bill Edwards has to go. And I can't even imagine supporting a council member who is a part of this mess and is on record supporting the mayor. We deserve better, and I will give you better. I'm a servant. I have been living in South Fulton for 42 years. I have been married to my husband for 43 years. I consider myself a servant. As far back as I can remember, I have enjoyed helping people. So there was no surprise that I had an extraordinary career as a nurse in which I have retired from. This career have allowed me to do work about which I'm most passionate about, and that's community service. And while I am careful not to boast, I think my community service experience will bring, I should say, demonstrate my commitment and service as proof of the position of my impact. And that's based on the things that I have been doing over the years in South Fulton. I was president of the Association of West Cascade Communities, participant in the development of the state mental health aggressive client training program, past president-elect of the Loch Lomond Homeowners Association, elected to the mobilization committee for environmental trust. I was also an advocate for the police and fire increase, former ethics board member for the city of South Fulton, chair of the Loch Lomond Anti-Annexation Committee, elected board member and lobbyist for the Georgia State Employees Association, co-chair of the HOA for the city campaign for the city of South Fulton, president of Women of Change, a nonprofit in Metro Atlanta, 8-year steward for the American Federation of Federal Employees, and pro-laborer. I just want to let you know that my platform is simple. I will give you accountability. I will give you inclusive leadership. I promise you responsible zoning, growth, and development. I will give you amenities. I will give you what we need in that area in terms of what people have shared with me by going in and out of all 7 districts in this city. And I also want you to know that I will invest in our youth. I hope that everybody has had a chance to have this last mailer that I had sent out. The front of this mailer tells you all about Jewel Johnson and some of the things that she's done in South Fulton. It was just so many that we couldn't put them all on here, but we put the ones that we know that most of you all are familiar with. And one that I'm very proud of, and that is that I'm a recipient of the U.S. Congressional, the recipient of the U.S. Congressional recognition for distinguished service presented by Congressman John Lewis. And I have that. I've worked so long and so hard, not just in community with a lot of our representatives. I'm not a stranger to the representatives in South Fulton because I've reached out to many of them. On the back of this mailer is my platform. And I hope you will take the time to actually read it. This mailer was the first mailer, and it went out concerning warehouses. Bill Atlas betrayed us. These are the warehouses right here on Mason Road, and the arrow here is showing you the warehouse that sits directly behind this subdivision here. And we're explaining to you why and how he did this when he was our commissioner for 14 long years. I hope that if you don't have these, please give me a call at 678-431-3157. And we'll try and make that possible for you to have. At this time, I think I've said enough about me, and I'm ready to open it up for whatever questions that the citizens may have.
Thank you for that, Ms. Johnson. I would just like to remind all of the participants that if you have a question, please use the reactions option and raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you so you can ask questions directly to our candidate, Ms. Jewel Johnson. With that being said, I would like to open the floor up to any questions that the community members may have. Please use the reactions button and raise your hand if you have any questions. And while we're waiting on questions from the community, I did receive some questions over email, so I will begin asking those questions. The first question comes from a member of the community. Ms. Johnson, how will you prioritize getting a full medical center with level 1 trauma emergency departments in the city of South Fulton? You have 2 minutes to answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you. As you all know, that I come off that medical train, and there has been a lot of investigation as to whether or not we will have a hospital. Well, there needs to be a certificate of need, but I am told from the things that has been done that won't happen. But what I will do, because I do have connections with a lot of the leaders from Wellstar, Piedmont, and Emory as well. And I would use my influence based on the relationships that I have developed over the years. And I still have inroads into a lot of those people. And that would be one of the main things that I would be doing. And I also have another plan that I would like to explore with the citizens. I feel that this city should be a citizen-driven city, since it was actually put together by citizens. So whatever I do, I will make sure that the citizen will be involved, and I intend to do that through our HOAs, where they will have a direct line to my office, and I will have a liaison person that will be meeting with them on a monthly basis, where they will be sharing their concerns about what's happening in their community, and we will be sharing with what we're doing in the city. I don't want any citizen to ever feel that they don't know what's going on in their city. So I will use, as I said, I will use my influence to make that happen. As I said before, I do have inroads, and that is a conversation that I am now having with some of those people. I can't go into any more deeper details, but I can assure you it will happen. It may not be a hospital right away, but we will have a medical facility.
Thank you for that question. At this time, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Ron Booth, to ask additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Ms. Johnson, this question is from Ellen Miller. Using available HUD funding support, what efforts will you make to bring affordable congregate housing options for low-income and very low-income seniors utilizing the comprehensive plan, especially in District 5, which is currently underserved in housing options for seniors?
Thank you for that question. If I heard it correctly, this is about affordable homes for seniors in District 5. Is that correct?
Yes, specifically District 5, but also across the board. Yes.
You kind of muffled there a little bit, and I'm trying to get the full understanding.
Yeah. Let me repeat the question.
Okay.
Using available HUD funding support, what efforts will you make to bring affordable congregate housing options for low-income and very low-income seniors utilizing the comprehensive plan, especially in District 5, which is currently underserved in housing options for seniors?
Thank you for that question. First of all, we have to define affordable homes. And then when you look at our comp plan today, to me, there's a major problem. I've heard this from several people who really knows and understand. And I think the first thing that I would do is with the people, we go back and address our zoning because it's a developer's paradise. We need to address that with the people, and in addressing that, we would definitely address the comp plan as well. And after we've done that, we will turn around and define affordable housing. Because when you speak of the affordable housing, you have to be very careful in putting that together. And my concept would be where we have private and government coming together, where we design what it is that we want for affordable housing for our seniors. And it must be done well with good supplies and be in an area that it more or less fits right in with the other developments and things. And it's not going to be something where in 5 to 10 years it's a dump, because that has happened in a lot of cities. And again, as the mayor, I would make sure that we do all these things to make sure that this will be affordable homes for our seniors.
Thank you for that response, Ms. Johnson. This next question comes from Ms. Stacy Copeland. What would you do to promote greater harmony between the office of mayor and the city council? The meetings are known for drama and unprofessional behavior.
Well, first of all, I will answer that question with one word: leadership. Leadership, leadership. I would reach out to each one of the council people as the mayor, and I would do it individually. and I would lay out to them what my vision is and how we're going to be moving forward as a city, and not 7 little tiny cities within a large city, in hopes that they will grasp this. I'm not worried about that being a problem, because the citizens will be a part of all of this. And I'm quite sure that they'll want this to happen. And I can assure you, as the leader, we will not have that problem as Jewel Johnson being the next mayor of the city of South Fulton. I will not tolerate it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that response, Ms. Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
This next question comes from Ms. Brenda Colbert. She's saying, how can we trust you as mayor when you totally disregarded your neighborhood who wanted to stay in the city of Atlanta?
Thank you for that question. I am happy to answer that for Ms. Colbert. Ms. Colbert, I have done nothing to my neighbors. You got to understand, Loch Lomond was put together in 1959. When I was 8 years old, we do not have the regular covenant that the newer subdivisions have. We do have an organization in which we do have members, and it is set up where you can join if you want to, if you don't, because what that organization does mostly is without dues. We keep up the entrance ways of the different entrance ways of the subdivision to keep it clean and beautified. And each household, each stakeholder has the responsibility of keeping up with their own area. It is their own separate responsibility. When this came down about Atlanta wanting to annex us, and the people over here wanted to annex, what a lot of the citizens here did that were anti going into Atlanta, we gathered all the information that we could gather from Atlanta, and we sent it to the Georgia Attorney General, who let us know that everything that Atlanta had done was egregious, but there was nothing that he could do because it was a local issue and he could only get involved with state issues. So the group talked about it and decided that we would look for another alternative. And that alternative was to seek legal help. So in seeking legal help, we make a long story short, there were several attorneys that just didn't want to get involved because of the former mayor, and they agreed with the attorney general that what Atlanta had done was egregious. So we finally found a group of attorneys who were land acquisition attorneys that went through everything, and they decided to take the case because they agreed with the attorney general that Atlanta had broke the law. So the lawsuit was filed, and it was not filed against any citizens in Loch Lomond. It was filed against the city of Atlanta. After being dragged for 4 years and mistreated by the representatives, the former mayor and the present mayor of Atlanta, who told us that we were all liars and ill-informed. But we did not go through any hassles with anybody. We left everything up to the attorneys, and the attorneys forwarded on out. They did everything that they did right. After 4 years, we had all the courts to rule that what Atlanta had done was broken the law. There are 15 judges on the Georgia Supreme Court. All 15 of the judges voted unanimously that Atlanta had broke the law. And if you go back and really look, it's easy. I have a copy of the decree, if you'd like to have one, Ms. Colbert, for you to read. I did nothing to my neighbors. I was protecting my stakeholder, the same thing that you would do if something were to be occurring that was unlawful in Loch Lomond, whether your neighbor next door agreed or not. Hopefully they could all agree. But the law has said that Atlanta broke the law. And I'm sorry that people feel that I've done something to them. There were 8 people on that lawsuit, and there were many that didn't want to be in Atlanta, but they just wouldn't come forward. They decided not to be in the lawsuit, and some was waiting, and we knew the time was drawing closer, and we just went on and did what we needed to do with the attorneys. And it was 8 of us. It wasn't just Jewel Johnson. It was 8 people on that lawsuit. And I hope I answered your question, Ms. Colbert.
I believe she'll type it in the chat if she has a follow-up question, but there is a follow-up question, Ms. Johnson, from Yoshina Colbert Bradford. And you mentioned an organization when you started answering that previous question. She wants to know where is that organization and what's the website? And she's saying that she never heard of this organization as a resident of Loch Lomond.
I mean, I need to understand, what is she referring to? Is she referencing that to the question she asked about, the annexation? Is that what she referencing that to?
No, I was.
Yoshina,
Yes, I was referencing that in reference to, I think you mentioned an organization that is anti, I forgot the term that you used, but it's anti Atlanta. So it doesn't want to go into Atlanta. So I just wanted to know.
Because it turned out to be the people that wanted to go out forward. That is the organization that I'm talking about. The 8 people that decided that they wanted to sue not to be in Atlanta. That was the organization.
Do you have any details on the name or a website of that organization?
There is no website. We just organized as community people and decided that we would work together, and we did. There's plenty of literature and things that I have, and a lot of the other people that was on that lawsuit have the information too. I even have copies of the checks in which we paid the attorneys, and where we met via telephone conferences with the attorneys. And, we don't mind sharing anything, because we didn't try to hide anything from anybody. All you have to do, you can visit Fulton County Clerk's office to get anything that you want to get on that. It's open record. You can get all the information that you want on it.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. If you were elected, what will you do within your power to reduce the millage rate and the managed spending versus raising taxes to run the city?
Well, first of all, I'd make one of my priorities with look at the fact that we don't have a financial officer, and our finance department is now ran by one person who is an interim financial officer. They've made her an interim person, and she's contracted. I would first want to make sure that a city of our size is set up correctly so that we can get the right information and make sure that the citizens is involved with this, so that they will know exactly on a month-to-month basis, have an accountability of the monies that we have and how it's being spent.
And my magic number is $10. For a lot.
I apologize for that. That user has been muted. You can continue.
That made me lose my train of thought. Yes, as I was saying, I would make sure that our finance department is well staffed, so that on a month-to-month basis, my citizens will have information letting them know exactly how we stand financially. The way it used to be before they decided to force Mr. Malazi to leave, he gave us very good information we didn't have a big problem at that particular time, but so many things has transpired. We have been without a financial officer since February, and here it is. What is it? This is October, and if you're doing a national search by now, I'm quite sure that we would have somebody now. So that raises a red flag for me, and that's one of the things that I would have to do first to make sure that nothing like that is creeping upon the citizens. And as you know, our millage rate is so high now that they can't raise it again anyway, unless they take it to the citizens. It has to be voted on by the citizens.
Thank you for that question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that response. I would like to acknowledge Natalie McCants. She has her hand raised. Ms. McCants, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm outside walking my dog.
I can't hear her.
You're gonna speak a little louder. Put your phone close to your mouth.
Can you guys hear me now?
It was a little better at first, and then you went right back out. Just speak a little louder, loud as you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm outside. So my question is, in your first term, can you tell me the 3 things that you would hope to have accomplished that would be the Jewel Johnson legacy?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Natalie. Well, the first thing that I would have to do is to make sure that I'm elected first. After being elected, I would do the most important things, and that is to get inside and find out exactly where we are. Moving forward, making sure that the citizens is part of this. We will work together to start addressing a lot of the things that I and them have talked about doing. And in order to do that, we have got to go back to our zoning and land use plan and amend all these things to address the needs that we so desperately want. I think the first thing that after we've done all of that and we know where we are, the citizens and I will prioritize what they want to see first. And we have already set it up as to where it would be, because we're doing our zoning and land use plan and all of those things first. So it would be prioritized, not necessarily for me alone. I think it should be prioritized between the citizens and myself. As I said, this is it should be a citizen-driven city, because we had 25,000 people to vote to be a city. They want to chart their own destination. So I want to give people that opportunity so that they can feel comfortable with being in their city, and we can build trust among ourselves. If they know that we're working together, there is nothing that we can hide from them, because we're being very transparent and we're letting them know what's what. So my priority would be to work with the citizens and let them determine what the first thing in the city should be. Although I have to share with you, I am very passionate about the city. To me, where I live, city of South Fulton, is where I want to be, and I hope that everybody here wants to be. And the only way we can move forward is that we're working together. And you're going to hear me say throughout the whole night that everything is going to be about the people, them working with me. I don't want anybody in this city to ever say they don't know what is happening, because they're going to be working right alongside me.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Great question. This next question is from the coalition. Do you feel the current mayor has contributed to the division between members on the council, on the city council?
Again, the answer to that question is one word: leadership, leadership, leadership. The current mayor has not exhibited leadership. He does not have vision. He does not have integrity. And he has not shown us transparency. Yes, I do feel that he has contributed to that. I feel that he has contributed to the mess that we're in right now. Let's face it, our city is broken. I, for one, has gone to him before all of this came down the way it has come down. And I shared with him that I had a strong concern about what was happening in our city and asked him if he would allow me to work with him. So, because sometimes and I explained it to him just like this. I said, sometimes it's kind of hard for us to be objective of ourselves. But sometimes when we have someone that has our best interests, we can kind of see the bigger picture and make it work. Well, he had a lot to say about, I can't do nothing with those folks and da 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 da. And I would reiterate with him again, but you are the mayor. You have to take control of your city and your meetings because you're the face of the city. So we made an agreement that we would meet on a monthly basis, and he would, listen to the things that I would share with him. The first meeting, I set it up. I paid for the lunch, and I even picked him up and drove him in my car to where we had lunch at. When the next month came around, time for him to meet with me, he was too busy. This went on for several months. Every time I asked him, he was too busy. So when he got tired of me asking him, he turned his administrative assistant on me that attacked me publicly in one of the public meetings. And I said nothing to her. When she finally calmed down, I looked at her and I said, I love you too. And there was another mayor that was sitting right there that night and could vouch for that. So another meeting, she did the same thing. So I stopped her. I said, wait a minute, stop it. Why are you coming off like this about me? I said, have I done anything to you? Have anybody said I have, disgraced your name or something? I said, let me know where this is coming from. And she said, no. I said, well, let me tell you something. Don't you ever, ever approach me like that again, because I'm not going to tolerate that from you. So, I can honestly say after having that conversation with her, she has not approached me in that manner again. So, yes, the current mayor we have has set that up. He does show favoritism. He let one particular council person just takes over the meetings and talk to our citizens like they $2 trash. There's no respect there, and they're not listening to us.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. We understand. If you're elected as mayor, what will you do within your power to ensure that your constituents are engaged and that they have input into the decisions that are being made for the city of South Fulton?
This would probably fall under accountability. It has to, because the mayor is sort of like the last buck, so to speak. And one of the things that I will do is to make sure, as I said, I will have a liaison person from my office that will be working with the HOA leaders of each area, where they will be meeting to discuss the issues of the HOA and discuss the issues of the city and the things that we are doing, where they will take it back to their community and disseminate that. And because I know that there are a lot of people that are not in HOAs, they live on streets. I mean, streets that's not a subdivision. So I will also hold town hall meetings where people can come and talk to me based on my schedule. These town hall meetings could either be quarterly or every 6 months. I want to hear from the people, even if it's just one person, because everybody in the city is important to me. And I want everybody to feel important. And as a leader, you have to show compassion. You have to lead by example, and you have to be a good listener. I intend to be that mayor for the city of South Fulton.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
All right, I would like to acknowledge Lakeisha Jacobs. You now have the floor. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Johnson. So my question is, the city, of course, now flooded with warehouses and infrastructures. If someone were to come to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, i.e. a road, bridge, or et cetera, how would you evaluate whether or not the project was worth implementing?
Well, first of all, as I said before, a major priority of ours is addressing our zoning and land use plan. If we have set it up in the manner in which we want, in terms of the things we want, where we want them to be, because as you know, our zoning dictates where things go. And if someone comes in that fashion and it is not in order with our zoning and comp plan, then they would have to go back to the table. And to add more to that, whenever someone brings something to the table and they have adhered to our zoning and comp plan, it would be, I would have them to make it mandatory that this person has to take it before.
Tawana.
Excuse me? I'm confused here. What's going on?
Ms. Colbert, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. All right, I'm sorry, you can proceed.
What I was saying is, I would want for it to be mandatory if a developer brings a project to us and they have abide by our zoning and land use plan, then what I would want that developer to do before anything happens is he go before the community so that the community can have input on that. And I think that that will solve a lot of the problems that we have with, these bad zonings that we have. Because the zoning that we have right now is a developer's paradise because Mayor and Council has not implemented impact fees. And they just passed it in one of their sessions, I think it was a month ago, to do the study for impact fees. And I know that I doubt if we would get that back before 2022. And we have all this zoning and stuff that's coming back, and then most of it will have been built out. And we're not sure whether or not they're going to even go and utilize impact fees, because in talking to a couple of the really good developers that I know, they have told me that they were skeptical and they had stopped even looking in South Fulton because the current mayor shakes them down for money. I don't know how true that is. I'm just quoting what was shared with me. And if that's true, then that means that no developer is going to pay impact fees and pay the current mayor as well. So that's my explanation for that question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnson. The next question, and then there's one from Lakeisha again. I guess she has a follow-up.
Okay.
But the question is, does Mayor Edwards have total veto power?
Well, until someone questions, I believe it's 1019. As you know, there were two major bills that was passed. 921 was written by Representative Roger Bruce, and the other South Fulton delegation people signed on. And I believe it was Representative Bazemore that did 1019, which addressed that. And until someone challenges that, I believe that is true if you follow the way it's written up and everything is done the way it's supposed to be done under the way they changed the charter.
Okay, thank you for that. We have two questions in the chat, or two people with their hands raised, rather. Lakeisha, can you please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, thank you. So, Ms. Johnson, and I know this may sound strange, but what will you do if you lose?
What would I do if I lose? The same thing I've done year after year after year. I will still be in the community. I will be a force to be reckoned with as an advocate. As I said before, I've spent my entire life as a public servant. And there is no need of me going away now because, I have the time, I have the dedication, I have the commitment to be your next mayor. And should that not happen, I will still be the same, doing the same thing. If you could roll back the tape for when we was having in-person meetings, you will see me quite often in the public comment section where I'm constantly trying to get through to mayor and council how important it is to include the citizens. And I would do the same thing.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. There's someone named NJM in the chat with your hand raised. Please, for the courtesy of everybody on the call and the candidate, please announce your name and then state your question or make your comment. I see you also have it in the chat. NJM.
Right. Can you hear me again? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes,
You're
I
real
can hear you.
soft. Go
I think
ahead.
it could be my voice as well. But anyway, my name is Natalie McCann. So I was the one who asked the question earlier. So my question is maybe two parts, but let's just hope it's one part. I was on yesterday when you guys had the forum, and one of the questions in our chat was around the name City of South Fulton. For full disclosure, I didn't vote on becoming a part of the city because I didn't live here at the time, but I do think that it's a great opportunity for us to be the city that we are, but I don't know that I agree with the name. So I'd like to get your opinion on whether or not changing the name is something that you would advocate. And if so, do you have some ideas around what that would look like? And there were actually some ideas in yesterday's chat from that forum. If you'd like to see it, I'm sure that they would be able to provide it, but I thought there were some good ideas in the chat.
Thank you for that question. That has been a concern of mine and a lot of citizens in the city. First of all, we have been operating under the name of City of South Fulton so long, where we have all our equipment and uniforms and everything with that on it. After we have gotten ourselves established enough to know exactly where we are in terms of our finances and everything, and we are ready to do that and we can afford to do it, I would push very vigilantly to make that happen, because I, for one, support changing the name. And I would like for the citizens to be as involved as possible, but at the same time, we have to recognize we can't go with everybody's name. We have to come up with one name where we all can be satisfied with. But I don't see us being able to do it right away, because we don't know what our finances are like. It's a big deal to change a name and all the things that you would have to go through to get it done and the finance that it would take to do it. So when we get to that level, I would be one of the first people to bring it up, but bring it back up to the citizens so we can work on that.
Thank you again, Ms. Johnson. Hopefully your question was answered.
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, likewise. So the next question, as mayor, would you support a citizens review board? You mentioned the word accountability earlier. So would you support a citizens review board for accountability across the city of South Fulton? And would you support providing that board with power?
That would all depends on what do you mean by power for that board? And I think with all I can't say I won't support it, because I would have to have a little more information about the structure and what you're talking about doing, because as the mayor, everything is going to be open to all citizens. And one thing that I want to say is that if there's a problem and you are engaged the way I'm encouraging everybody to be engaged, then we might not need that. because you will be right there and know everything and doing everything right along with the mayor. So a review board, I can't say I support it. I can't say I won't support it. Like I say, I would have to really see how it would be laid out and what kind of powers it is that you're talking about having. The main structure is what I would have to really look at. So before I can see the structure, I can't say one way or the other where I'm going to support or not support it. Because the most important thing that I have found that people need to understand, and that is when I become your mayor, I become an employee and you are the employer. And it is your responsibility to supervise me. In fact, I want to challenge everybody to give me a performance report in my first 90 days. Send it to me. Because if I'm not moving in the direction that I have said through my platform and personal conversations with many of you, then I want to correct whatever you see is wrong. That's something we can come to the table and talk about. I am quite open. I want to be open to the citizens. And I really think that once they see how it will flow, that 99.5% of the citizens, I believe, I hope 100% of them would be satisfied and agree with being engaged and knowing everything that's going on in that city.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Mhm.
And I believe you may have addressed this partially, but I wanted to ask it again because it came from Ms. Pamela Harris.
Okay.
What will your top 3 priorities be if you become elected mayor?
Well, my top priorities, my first one, because I have to have this, and that is to be elected and find out what is exactly going on in our city. Because right now we are going down a blind road. We don't know anything. And moving forward with the second and third priority, that will be determined by the citizens. I will get with the citizens so they can define for me and not me defining it by myself, the things that they want to move toward first. Because I feel like since it's their city, they should have some say about the next steps that we go toward. And I said, as I said before, you're going to hear me say over and over again that we're going to move with the citizens because we had 25,000 to vote for a city. And this city has been hijacked from the citizens. Everything has been taken away from us except the ballot box. And that's one of the reasons I'm pushing people to engage and to go and vote. Vote in a way that is going to be in the best interest for you. One of the main things I'm recognizing is a lot of us really don't know how to vote because we hadn't been engaged. So I say to people, anybody, I don't care if it's me, that stands up to run for anything that's going to be supporting you, you need to know everything there is to know about that person. You need to know where they come from. You need to know their background. You need to know what have they done in the community, what kind of volunteer programs have they worked with, have they worked with the school system, have they worked with the city, the churches, all the things that go to make up a quality of life. You need to know everything about that person. And you also need to know what their finances like. Do they have a job? Because a lot of people jump up and run for offices because they want a job. And we're not in the business of, letting people serve us because they can't get a job on the outside. This is a servant position, and it was not created for you to try and get rich off of. It is a position where the monies that you get for serving really is more like a reimbursement of the extra time that you're going to give in because it's a part-time job, but sometimes it becomes a full-time job. So the salaries that you get is more or less like a reimbursement for wear and tear and, moving about and doing the things that you do as a elected official.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Richard?
Thank you. We have 8 minutes left, so we're going to be wrapping up the question and answer session at this time. I have one question from a member of the community for Ms. Johnson. As you know, there is an effort to de-annex parts of District 1 from City of South Fulton into Atlanta. As a resident of District 1, if you are elected, what happens if the annexation is successful and you are our mayor?
Well, first of all, as the mayor, if that is happening and it's successful and it's being done the right way and it's been accepted through Fulton County, as you know, all annexations has to go through Fulton County and go over to be cleared through, I believe it's GMA, one of those entities. And what I would do is nothing, okay? If it's legal and acceptable through the court system, then there is nothing that I can do but accept it.
All right, but
I won't be a part. I will not be a part of helping with that. I will not be a part of that.
Now, if you are the mayor of the city of South Fulton and you live in District 1, would we lose our mayor?
No.
That's what the question was asking.
No, you will not lose your mayor. That seems wild and far-fetched that will happen. And I'm the mayor and I live in District 1. I don't see it happening, but if it happens, the only thing that I have to do is just move, and that's not a problem.
All right, well, thank you for that response. At this time, we would like to allow you 5 minutes for closing remarks. And also, if you can put your contact information in the chat so members of the community can reach out to you if they have any questions or want to learn more about your campaign.
Okay. Let me see if I can get to the chat. Well, I did hit the chat, but it didn't give it to me.
Should be at the bottom middle of your screen.
This is Rosalind. You want me to type in your
Yes,
cell phone?
yes. Would you type in my information, and that can be my website. You know my website.
Okay.
And phone number. Thank you. In my closing remarks, I want to say to the citizens that's on board, first of all, thank you for having me. And I was overly joyed for the mere fact that everyone on this call, I believe, is citizens that have a concern and a care for the city of South Fulton. I want to be able to take this city to the next level. We have an opportunity to make the city of South Fulton one of the best cities in the United States. And we will do this under my leadership. We will do it together. It will not be Jewel Johnson doing it. It will be Jewel Johnson and the citizens doing it. So I say to you to take your time and evaluate me and all the others that are running for mayor. Put all four of our platform together and you decide who the best candidate is. I feel like that I am, because I'm the only one of those candidates that you can physically go and look and see what I have done. And most of you know that from 285 and Cascade Road, all the way down Cascade Road, excusing the little excerpts that Atlanta has annexed, but they did it after we did a lot of the development there, all the way to Fulton Industrial. It was my neighbors and I that did that. It was not government. At that time, we was under Fulton County. We tried to work with Fulton County, but they had other things that they wanted to do. So after forming the Association of West Cascade Communities, and I was one of the first founders of that organization, And we decided that, hey, everything out here is going to be developed. So we should determine what's going to be here. So what we got together and did, we did our own traffic study. We did our own marketing plan, our own demographics, and decided what it was that we wanted. And we went out and courted the businesses. We brought them out here and we showed them that we had the ability to have them be here and make the money that they would make more money that they would make anywhere else. We had everything that would make us very viable to do that. And all of the companies was very pleased. They was excited that we were citizens that came to them. We had no problems getting them to sign on. And as most of you may know, Publix was one of the very first Publix in the metropolitan area, and it stayed the number one store for Publix on Cascade Road until we did Camp Creek. And Camp Creek became the number one store, and Cascade still remains the second store the last time I talked to corporate. And for many years, we had been trying to bring Publix to Sandtown, but there was all kinds of issues. And then the slowdown of the economy affected everything. But we never gave up. We continued to work with John Perriman and getting that done. But everything happened after we became a city. But I want everybody to know that was done by the citizens, not the city of South Fulton, not the council person in District 1, but the citizens of District 1. And that is another prime example of what can happen when citizens are working together with their leadership. We were our own leadership that brought the Publix at Sandtown to us. It's a fabulous store. I love it. And I said I wasn't going to say anything about this, but in closing, I do want you to understand I'm working diligently to try and bring us a well-established white linen cloth restaurant that I think that you all will be extremely happy to have. I mean, all the bells and whistles. It's not finally worked out. There's a lot of things that I have to do. And I started this as a citizen. And I'm going to see it through, even as your mayor. Even though I was a citizen, I never stopped. I had negotiated having a Costco's, and I wanted it in between. Fairburn and Union City, because at that time, when I actually started it, we were still under Fulton County. And I reached out to the chairman at that time that was too busy to deal with me. So I called the guy that was over economic development, if I could think of his name right now. I had shared with him my experiences with the corporate people with Costco's, and I let him know what Costco's had said to me, and they was excited about all the things that I had brought before them. And the only thing they wanted was to be able to have some type of dialogue with the county as to what the incentives would be. So when I passed it on to him, he did a 365-degree turnaround and carried them to Fulton Industrial before Fulton Industrial had done any cleanup at all. So Costco's was totally turned off from them. But I wanted to let you know that there's still a possibility, because I do know the South Fulton CID people are talking with Costco's, and maybe we can all together make it come together, since they've done a lot of cleanup on Fulton Industrial, and hopefully we'll be able to get that and make it happen. So I'm saying all this to say that I want you to know that I'm not a politician. I am an advocate, And I'm not looking to be some high polluting political person. All I want is 2 terms to be able to do the things that I need to do. And I'm asking you in closing to please vet me and please vote for Jewel Johnson as your next mayor. I will give you all the things that you have shared with me that you want, because I too want the same things. Together, we can move this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I was just notified that there were some additional questions before we went into closing remarks. So if you don't have a hard stop, we can go on for another 10 minutes if you would like.
Sure, go right ahead.
All right. Ron, did you have additional questions?
Yes, they come from some from the chat, and there's one from Miss K, and she's speculating. Given the fact that we only had 25,000 votes in the last election to become a city, or in the election to become a city, that is, should we vote on being a city again, since that's all the votes, 25,000 out of 100,000? Your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's possible. That was the way that came out was because there was a bill that was written by Representative Roger Bruce that was passed through the House and the Senate, and it went to the governor's desk, and the governor signed it, which allowed us to put it on the ballot for a referendum. And I don't see that happening. I really don't. You're talking about 4 years of existence, and I do know that there's a lot of frustrations with people about the city. But if you think back, when we first started Social Security, it was worse than starting up a new city. But what we have to do is work with what we have and work out all the kinks. And the most important thing is leadership. And that leadership has to have vision. They have to have the ability to lead. They also have to have integrity and be able to be transparent across the board. And I feel that as Jewel Johnson being your next mayor, we're going to have that. All I want is for you to work with me. That's all. And a lot of people confuses that. I don't mean that you go to work, come home, then come back to City Hall and put on the apron and work with me. No, it don't work like that. All I want you to do is be engaged enough to know what's happening in your city. That's not asking too much. And supervise not only the city representation, but the county representation, the state representation, the congressional representation. That's the reason why I believe that because of my engagement with my congressman, who was my congressman from the time he was elected until God called him home, I engaged him. I was always writing him, asking for a meeting, talking about the things that I was concerned about in my community in South Fulton. And he worked with me. I can show you letters that I've saved where we have conversed back and forth with letters. And that's the reason why he honored me. And trust me, he didn't give out that many honors in the 5th District. But Jewel Johnson received a congressional honor for her work in this the city. I should say all of South Fulton, because I was all over South Fulton.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And the next question comes from Pamela Harris. Okay. She wants to know what do you feel we can do to make the city of South Fulton safer?
Well, I think here again, a lot of it belongs to us. We need to be engaged. I'm pushing hard, even as a city, community policing. I know for a fact when you know who your beat officers are, and they know who you, because you are their eyes and ears. And I'm hoping that after I'm the next mayor, these are things that we're going to be pushing, and I'm going to be pushing the police chief to make sure that there is conflict resolution training for all the officers and customer service training for all the officers. Because This is not a one-way street. This is a street for everybody. You want to be safe? Be proactive. You have to be proactive. You see something, you call, you let them know. If you're not getting the response that you need to get, we have a police chief. Call him, and he's put his number out there. If he's not answering within at least 48 hours, then you need to let me know. Then I'm going to him and ask him what's going on. I know you're busy, but maybe you should have someone following up on your phone calls. We have to work together because we all in this together. And once we grasp that, we're all going to be safe. During the time that we had Fulton County and Chief Graham was our police chief, I wish he was alive today because he'll tell you, boy, that Miss Johnson, she wore me out. I knew everything there was to know about who was supposed to be protecting me. I knew all my beat officers. I knew all the battalion chiefs with the fire department. These are things that we should know. That police precinct belonged to you. Go in sometime, get to know those folks. Let them know who you are. Do the same thing with the fire station. Go in there and introduce yourself. Well, I'm Jewel Johnson. I live in the district, and I know that you work here. I'm right here on Ogden Lane. I want to know a little bit more about you. What days are you here? What's your name? How is it that we can help? How can you help us to learn to be a little bit more safer? Those are the things that we need to do in order for us all to be safe. We got to stop being selfish and have love for each other. Spread the love, spread the compassion, because it's highly needed. And that's one of the things that I want to do as your next mayor of the city of South Fulton.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
This next question is from Ms. Pamela Freeman. She says, if you were not a candidate for mayor, which one of the other candidates would you vote for?
If I was not a candidate for mayor, she's asking me which one of the guys that are running now with me. Is that what she's asking me?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. First of all, I'd be pressed hard to vote for either one. I just tell you this much. I won't say I won't vote because I believe in voting. But there's one that I will not vote for, and I'll let you know who that is. That is William Bill Edwards. I would not vote for him.
Okay, that's a fair response. And Ms. Freeman, if you have a follow-up, please type it, but I believe she answered that. The next question is more of a comment and a question from Miss Ellen Miller and Ellen Miller Mapp, sorry. She says she's glad to hear that you're not a politician, that you're an advocate. And she says our politicians are not getting the job done. Can the advocate garner the support and leadership to effectively manage the administration, which is in such disorder?
Thank you for that question. There are, as I said before, if you compare what I've already done as a citizen, an advocate, to what we have that's running now, you will notice that I've done more than any of them, especially things that you can physically see. Make me your mayor, and I will do everything that we have talked about together. I will be relentless. I will not stop. I might fall down, but I guarantee you I'll get back up. And I promise you, I will not embarrass you. I will take control. I served 44 long years in a leadership role. I have dealt with people from all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds. One thing I do know and do understand is leadership. And that's the biggest problem that we have. Most of the problems that we have right now is because we have no leadership with vision, no leadership with integrity. none with transparency. That's the reason why I know that I can get the job done.
Thank you again, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Kay had a follow-up question. She says, why would you not vote for Bill Edwards?
Why would I vote for Bill Edwards? We have given him 18 years, 20 years serving us, 14 years as our commissioner, 4 years as our mayor, and he's delivered zero. But I can tell you this, pull the stats at how he pushed all this bad development on the people in Old National, where he made sure that the people didn't have any amenities, the children didn't have any amenities, the streets were too small, nowhere to park. He didn't care. And then look at all the things has gone on with us in the city of South Fulton. He has not stood up for nothing. When we had the people at Arbor Place that was dying, some of them was my neighbors. He never stood up to say anything. There were people calling for the mayor, and they started calling Keisha Lance Bottoms, who also didn't respond. The only elected official that stood up was Marvin Arrington Jr., and he didn't have it right, although we know that that was a responsibility of Fulton County because they are the ones that govern institutions like that. But it was the mayor that should have come out and said, I hear you. I even feel your pain if he felt it. I know if it was me, I'd be saying I feel your pain because I too lost a loved one during that time and neighbors that I had known for many years. And I would have told the people, this is out of the city's hand, but I will grant you this. I will be dealing with Fulton County. They are going to answer to me as to how this happened to my constituents. He never stood up for us and said anything, not one thing. So that was one thing he didn't stand up to say. He didn't stand up for Loch Lomond on anything. When Atlanta just bombarded themselves in here and did whatever they wanted to do, put us in jeopardy, holding the 911 police call from us. We were very, very lucky that nothing happened to us physically. So what I'm saying to you, by all means, vet all the candidates and vet them well. And I ask that you please go to the polls and vote for Jewel Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And we appreciate you going over time. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off the questions now and turn it back over to Rashard. Rashard?
Yes, we had one last follow-up question, and this one was from Pamela Freeman. And she states, my question was, who would you vote for, not who will you not vote for? So if you can answer her question before we conclude.
Ms. Freeman, thank you for that question, but I think that that's a personal question, and I will hold to that if you don't mind.
All right, thank you for your response to her question, and thank you for attending. And at this time, we can end the meeting. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone who attended.